9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning. It is Chris Hand. So I walked in this morning, and I see one of our producers, Mason, sitting there, and I thought to myself, like, oh, Mac has a day off again, and he's not telling me about it. But I guess he was just there for backup in case Dan's home studio malfunctioned.
Yes.
I literally thought, that was my first thought. I was like, oh, you're with me today?
I would have told you.
No, what did you tell me anything?
Come on.
He wouldn't have told me.
Would have ghosted you.
Yeah. How you doing? You good?
I'm great.
It's going to be a fun day. We got Andy Ogles joining the show at 9:30. And if there's one thing I know about Andy Ogles, he'll call in at about 9:28 because he's punctual.
Yes, sir. He is.
He is. We're going to talk about the looming government shutdown. And do you feel desensitized by government shutdowns? Like, I just feel like, all right, the government shuts down.
Yep.
Like, maybe we've been through this too many times. I remember when I was, the first time we kind of faced this, feeling like it was a big deal. But now I just feel like it's wallpaper. Like, we're just spending money we don't have. And the government's going to shut down. Like, that's kind of what happens, And I don't think we should be spending all the money. I'm over it. Shut it down. Shut the whole thing down. That's how I feel. Because at the same time, people will be like, oh, no, a government shutdown. What's going to happen? Well, a lot of stuff isn't going to stop. You know what I mean? There will still be funding for Social Security and all the regular programs. But if that's what it takes to drive the point home that we don't have the money that we're spending, shut it down. So we're going to talk to Andy Ogles about that. Yesterday at the UN assembly, Zelenskyy showed up wearing that same sweatshirt that he's always wearing. How can you be the leader of, I don't know if I want to say the most important, but one of the most newsworthy countries in the world. Let's put it that way. It's not, it's not the most important, but it's definitely one of the most newsworthy countries in the world, Ukraine. And you dress like Doug from Nickelodeon. You have one outfit all the time. Like just any cartoon character you could think of that just has one outfit, that's Zelenskyy. Just buy a different shirt. Drives me up a wall.
It is interesting. Why does he do that?
Why does he do that? I don't understand.
It's like that. I don't even know if I'm going to go there, but that is interesting. Coming and wearing the same thing while you're asking for billions of dollars.
Yeah, it's like, please help me. I only have this one shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay. Like, what are you doing? Well, he came to the UN yesterday and he decided to lecture everybody. He had to lecture us, not just on the war in Ukraine, but also on climate change of all things. So that was fun. It was an unexpected twist. Hey, give me some audio. Come on, man. Mason wouldn't have done that.
Oh, here we go.
Though humanity is failing on its climate policy objectives, this means that extreme weather will still impact the normal global life, and some evil state will also weaponize its outcomes.
So he starts going on about climate change. I'm just thinking, like, dude, aren't you at war? Like, aren't your citizens dying? Don't you have bigger fish to fry than climate change? Apparently not, because he spent quite a long time lecturing us on the imminent threats of climate change.
And when people in the streets of New York and other cities of the world went out on climate protest, we all have seen them. And when people in Morocco and Libya and other countries die as a result of natural disasters, and when islands and countries disappear underwater, and when tornadoes and deserts are spreading into new territories, and when all of this is happening, one unnatural disaster in Moscow decided to launch a big war and kill tens of thousands of people.
Okay, so how could Russia launch a war at a time of climate change? Is that what he's getting at? Also, he's talking about, water rising and islands disappearing and tornadoes. And, you say tornado, I say tornado. But we have Obama living on the coast of Martha's Vineyard, keeping an eye on the rising sea levels for us. So we should be pretty straight. Like, he would tell us if it got crazy. That's why he bought the house on the coast. He's a hero. So, I don't know. Zelenskyy should check in with Obama if he's worried about the rising waters and islands disappearing. But, he keeps going.
We have to stop it. We must act united to defeat the aggressor and focus all our capabilities and energy on addressing these challenges. As nukes are restrained, likewise the aggressor must be restrained and all his tools and methods of war. Each war now can become final, but it takes our unity to make sure that aggression will not break in again.
I don't know, man. I'm out on Ukraine. I'm out. This man just keeps coming and asking for more money and more money and more money. And he's worried about climate change, and he's lecturing us about the climate crisis. Dude, if you want to win a war, maybe don't come to New York. Maybe focus on the war that you're fighting. And if you're so worried about climate change, maybe broker a peace deal with Russia instead of losing your citizens in a war that you can't win without dragging the rest of the world into World War III. I don't know. Same sweatshirt guy is really getting on my nerves. And I'm tired of him asking for more money. Am I the only one feeling this way? Do you feel that way? 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. 2923 says you also have to remember Nancy Pelosi bought a mansion on the coast in Palm Beach, Florida. So we have Obama and Nancy on the coastlines.
Yeah, we got double coverage.
They're our first line of defense against the rising sea levels. I'm tired of same sweatshirt man. Just really tired of him. It boggles my mind that we are inching closer and closer to World War III over same sweatshirt man.
5829 says, are they even in NATO? They are not, correct?
They are not.
Yeah.
So. Yep. So, let's give them more money then. 0420 says, Zelenskyy reminds me of my kid continually asking me to spend for more money to spend on Minecraft. Yep. Randy said, do Fetterman and Zelenskyy buy their sweatshirts at the same shop? Well, Randy, you said sweatshirts plural. Zelenskyy only has one.
Only one.
Sweatshirt. It's a sweatshirt. It just drives. Listen, if we do give them any more money, can we just tell them part of that is for a new shirt?
Part of this budget is you need to go to Old Navy and get yourself some other stuff.
Take $40 off the top because, and we know you're taking money off the top anyway, in some shape or form. Take $40 off the top and go hit Old Navy before you leave New York. Come on. Unbelievable. 0370 says, why can't we send the illegal aliens to Ukraine? We own that country by now. That's a good idea. Do you want U.S. citizenship? Go help Ukraine. You could move to Colony Ridge or you could move to Kyiv. You decide. I'm over the war in Ukraine. But, we're probably going to give him another $20 billion this week. We'll see what happens. I'm going to ask Andy Ogles about it. Andy Ogles is absolutely against the war in Ukraine and just funding them with an open wallet. But we'll ask him about it when he joins the show at 9:30. I also did want to talk about there's a new Biden plan, an executive level gun control office he's announced. So This is from Breitbart. President Joe Biden is announcing the Office of Gun Violence Prevention on Friday, and the new office will be coordinated with Mike Bloomberg, gun control proponents, and others. So they're coming for your guns, and this is the same country that loses an F-35. They think you're not responsible with an AR-15, but they literally lose an F-35. Weird. I saw something online once that said the U.S. government couldn't pass a federal background check. Unbelievable. So Shannon Watts, a Mike Bloomberg affiliate who founded Moms Demand Action, praised the creation of the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, saying, if this announcement is, in fact, the creation of a single point of leadership on gun violence in the administration, it's a very big deal for the movement. She added, a government focal point dedicated to creating a framework for overseeing national policy, research, and resources would be more than symbolic. It would be a significant turning point for the movement. Yeah. On August 31st, 2023, Breitbart News reported that Biden's ATF was using executive rule to expand background checks to the point of nearly being universal. In a press release that accompanied this announcement of this proposed rule, Attorney General Merrick Garland said the bipartisan Safer Communities Act was passed by Congress to reduce gun violence, including by expanding the background checks that keep guns out of the hands of criminals. This proposed rule implements Congress's mandate to expand the definition of who must obtain a license and conduct a background check before selling firearms. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do felons buy guns legally? Bueller? Anyone? Oh, no. Do criminals care about the law? Oh, no, not all at once. Not all at once, please. Yeah, let's make more rules. Let's make more rules. That sounds like a fun time. The ATF's rule will redefine language. Oh, that's what the left loves to do. Let's redefine language so that there is not simply a category of Americans buying and selling guns from one to another, as they've done since, 1791, and a category of federal firearms license holders, FFLs, selling guns at retail. Rather, every seller will have to prove he is not trying to make a profit, or he will be required to ensure the purchaser undergoes a background check before taking possession of the firearm. So, Joe Biden announcing an executive-level gun control office. These are the guys that lost an F-35. So they're going to tell us how to safely handle our firearms. Okay, cool. It's just insane. The country's at an all-time high in debt, and, we're going to give more money to Zelenskyy. Zelensky's in a war with Russia. He's going to lecture us on climate change. The government loses an F-35. They're going to tell us what to do with AR-15s. Hypocrisy. Unbelievable. All right, Andy Ogles joining the show at 9:30. We're going to take more of your calls, more of your texts on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. Plus, I want to talk about John Fetterman, the UAW strike, and more. It is 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. This is the Chris Hand Show. Thank you for being here.
Federal Reserve set to make a decision about whether to raise interest rates again. We have an American cheese slice recall to tell you about. And Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles weighs in on the government spending showdown in Congress. He says he's frustrated with leadership. We'll tell you about that coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Eddie hung up. We had Eddie hanging on the line. And again, a little inside baseball. When you call in, Mac usually answers, and he types in your name, types in where you're from, then he types in a comment about what you want to talk about. And the comment on Eddie's screener was sweatshirt. I said to Mac, I said, sign me up. Say no more, fam.
Let's go.
Say no more. Let's go. So, Eddie, if you want to call back in to talk about Zelensky's sweatshirt, I'm happy. I'm happy to. 4726 texted in and said, here's to you, same sweatshirt, man. Real Ukrainian hero. I mean, I think it was Ann texted in, and she said, I'm tired of being talked down to by crooked politicians. Yeah, and that's what they do. They treat us like children. They literally treat us like children. It's crazy. What do we know, right? Ann also said, why don't we the people have a say where this money of ours go to? It's, whoa, calm down, Ann. You sound like one of those right-wing extremists. We just got to pay our taxes and quiet down. That's our job, okay? 9760 texted in, said, climate talk is his payment to Biden for all the money, quid pro quo. Talking about Zelenskyy, who went to the UN to lecture us yesterday on not giving him more money, and also climate change. So it's really good that they have their priorities in order. Isn't that nice? I think that's nice.
Yeah, of course. No new clothes. Climate change.
100%.
B.O.
Yeah. 8297 text. They said, we were going to give you $100 billion, but now, because of your speech, we have to use it to fight climate change.
Sorry.
You're right. This is an existential threat. We have to worry about the tornadoes. So we're going to focus on climate change. Brian texted in, 0354, and this is such a good point. We don't have the money or the ammo. National Guard units don't even have the money to buy the ammo needed for training. That's if the ammo is even available. Byron Donalds actually said something very similar to that, Brian, and he said this about the funding in Ukraine.
What is your message to Zelenskyy when he comes to the Capitol on Thursday? He wants more money from Congress. He claims that he says it's very important to stopping the war in Ukraine. What message does it send that so many conservatives are opposed to more money for Ukraine?
The first thing I'll tell you is there's no money in the House right now for Ukraine. There's just not. It's not there.
You mean there's no support for money?
No. And to be blunt, we're running a $2 trillion deficit. Any money we give to Ukraine, we're borrowing from our future. That's the facts. Those are the truth. You can feel how you want to feel about it. I'm here to tell you what's right and what's real. Look, it's not a good time for him to be here, quite frankly. That's just the reality. And the third piece is what's happened with Ukraine is frankly the fault of leadership of Joe Biden. Let's be very clear of that. So don't put that on the backs of the American people now. If we had a commander-in-chief who knew how to lead as opposed to take naps, then we would be in a much better situation when it comes to Ukraine and global security for that matter.
What a beast. He said if we had a leader-in-chief that knew how to fight wars instead of take naps. When I heard that, I immediately thought of the Joe Rogan reaction during the UFC, so I put this together.
If we had a commander-in-chief who knew how to lead as opposed to take naps.
$9:30 on the dot this Wednesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. The Federal Reserve set to make a decision about whether to raise interest rates again today. Economists believe they're going to pause for now, but inflation's still above the Fed's target 2%, now sitting at 3.7%. Food recall. Kraft Heinz recalling about 83,000 cases of its individually wrapped Kraft Singles American cheese because they might pose a choking hazard. They've had several customer complaints of finding the pieces of plastic on its cheese, including 6 complaints from eaters that claim to have choked or gagged on it. Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles telling WTN's Nashville's Morning News he's frustrated with Speaker Kevin McCarthy for not living up to agreements hammered out on spending limits and deregulation long before we got to this moment, 10 days out from risking a potential government shutdown.
Here we are, we're bumping up against a deadline, and so leadership is trying to squeeze us to pass a crap deal because they didn't do their job.
Learn more coming up after the news. Congressman Ogles joins WTN's Chris Hand Show live. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. We know that diversification is an important part of the investing process, but how do you reduce risk of a portfolio through diversification? Well, you use correlations. Now think of bathing suit sales and suntan oil sales. They tend to move together, right? Think of bathing suit sales versus winter coat sales. More dissimilar movement, and that's the idea. But why is diversification so important? Well, think about it this way. Everybody would like to have this happen with their investments. They just go straight up. But what we know is this is really what tends to happen. Markets may go way up and then down, or down then way up. Now let's say if we isolate parts of that curve right there, and the first curve right there, and the second curve right there. If you're putting money away for retirement, every time you put money in, if this is what's going on, you're buying more shares. Then just before you retire, the market goes up, you're really happy. If on the other hand, you keep paying a higher and higher price, and then the market goes down, you're really sad. And we can't choose what's going to happen with the market next. But what we can do is what we know through academic research, and there are Nobel Prizes awarded for this, is we can look for things that tend to move in dissimilar fashion. And what happens when we do that, we can reduce the volatility of the portfolio, hence bringing those curves in. Now that's the idea. Now if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
9:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. This is the Chris Hand Show. Joining us on the line now to talk about the government shutdown, the potential government shutdown, none other than Andy Ogles. What's up, Andy? How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm good, man. So is it just me? Have I been desensitized to government shutdown talk? I mean, I know it happened under Trump. It happened under Obama. But I feel like we're always talking about this, and I'm just kind of like, all right, cool.
I mean, two things. One, it's frustrating that we find ourselves here, given that, the September 30th deadline, we knew it was coming, and we're not done, right? So that's frustrating. But the second, kind of to your point, if the government shuts down, it's not the end of the world. You're going to get your Social Security check, or veterans are going to get benefits. Air traffic controllers are still going to work. I mean, all of those things, those critical infrastructure things, are going to be operational. So it's more kind of rhetoric and scare tactics. But at the end of the day, so I've advocated that we stay here this weekend and we stay here every day until we get it done. That's what I would expect of my congressman. That's what I expect of myself, and that's what I expect of my colleagues.
How realistic is it that you guys work through the weekend, though? Do you think that people are going to be lining up for that?
Obviously the leadership can call us in. And so, I literally texted leadership and said, look, it's all eyes are on us. We have a job to do. Let's stay here. Let's work long hours. Let's work the weekend. And so my hope would be that they heed mine. And there's other people saying it as well, that we work this weekend and get it done, quite frankly. It's not going to be easy. Tensions are high right now. I mean, there's talk about a motion to vacate and all this other stuff. But we have a job to do, and that's what I'm focused on.
So I understand that your hangups right now are getting funding for the wall to secure the border, establishment of a House kind of bird committee to reduce non-essential federal spending. You want release of unedited January 6 footage, and you want utilization of the Holman rule to defund Mayorkas and Jack Smith. How realistic is it that you get your wish list?
It's I think all cards are on the table, and look, so when you go back to the Byrd Committee, so post World War II, there was a lot of programs and money's being spent that, quite frankly, did not necessarily need to be spent post World War II, and so there was a committee set up to look at spending at the federal government level and to see where money could be cut. And I think we have an obligation not just to pass a budget, but to comb through those budgets and say, you know what, this program is antiquated. It needs to be defunded. Maybe it needs to be reduced, but go on offense on some of this spending. We know we have a spending problem in Washington, D.C. You have a historical precedent to set a committee like this up. So why not do it? Why not leverage the tools in front of us to get this job done for the American people? That's all I'm advocating for. Is it's been done before. Let's do it again, and let's see actual results for the American people. And I recognize the Senate may not take it up, but we can start identifying the programs that need to be cut. And then as we win the Senate in 24, we can actually start realizing those cuts on behalf of the American people.
What programs off the top of your head would you cut on day one?
Oh, my goodness. So the easiest one, the obvious one, the one that's been weaponized against our families and children is the Department of Education. But then you get into the nuances of where do you cut? How big is the cut? Now, for me, and I recognize this isn't realistic, but I mean, if there's one agency that evaporated tomorrow, Harry Potter pops up with his wand and says, no more Department of Education. You know what happens tomorrow? The buses still roll. The kids still get their books. The teachers still do their lessons. It is when you look at them from a metric standpoint, their deliverable is to teach kids math and reading. Quite frankly, they're more focused on woke agendas. But our kids in this country can't read, they can't write, they can't do math. It is a failed agency and department. We need to kick this back to the states. I trust our governor. I trust our General Assembly to have an education system that will teach our kids, not D.C. And quite frankly, it's proven to be a failure. So why do we keep funding something that we know is not working?
Well, I mean, I think we keep funding it so we can get more pride flags in the classroom, right?
Exactly. I mean, if we spend as much time sensitivity training and pride flags and all this other woke agenda, transgender, blah, 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 whatever. I mean, if we spent that much time on math, man, our kids could do arithmetic so much better.
Oh, my gosh. Seriously. It's like our education system is a laughingstock at this point. So McCarthy says they made progress last night. What kind of progress is he talking about, and are you seeing that progress?
Well, it's incremental at this point. I mean, I think the big holdup for a lot of us at the end of the day is the spending level. Going back to pre-COVID. So you had COVID. During COVID, spending was ratcheted up. Whether you agree with that or don't, it doesn't matter because that's what happened. What we're saying is we no longer have this pandemic. Let's get back to pre-COVID levels. Let's ratchet it back down to where it was before. Because again, we have now $33 trillion worth of debt. It's going to continue to grow. It'll hit $35 trillion before you know it. And so let's get back to those numbers, roughly 1.47 trillion and quit overspending. Look, we can't cut our way out of this, but let's cut where we can, get out of the way of the free market, because the path through this morass, this chaos, this overspending is to grow the economy. Unfortunately, the Biden administration, as you well know, that you talk about on your show, is working against the American people. They've shuttered our energy independence. The monies they've put into the economy, too much money is creating inflation. All of these things are working against hardworking folks like you and me and my family. So, but that being said, spending cap, spending levels is the biggest issue. It's the top line issue that we can all agree upon. It has to go down.
So are we going to be sending more money to Ukraine at the end of this week? What are your initial thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a hard no on funding for Ukraine. I mean, when you have one of the English spokespersons threatening to put American citizens on an assassination list, when you have he goes before the United Nations talking about the failures of the Western world on, the global warming and all this other nonsense. And then we have our southern border. It's wide open. I was just in Arizona. It's a catastrophe down there. We have a mental health crisis amongst our veterans that serve this country and serve with honor. I mean, we've got to take care of our own first. So look, I'm not an America alone guy. I'm America first guy. So let's take care of our country first. Let's get our fiscal house in order first. Then we can have conversations about Ukraine or whatever else. But right now, we've got problems here in this country that we need to take care of. We need to take care of our own. So no more funding for Ukraine. Let Europe handle that burden, quite frankly. And again, we've got to get our own fiscal house in order.
So when it comes to the border, though, Biden is now asking for, $4 billion more to help with that. But I'm old enough to remember that $8 billion for the border wall was just too much money, and we didn't have the funds for that. Why does he get a pass on the border, it feels like?
Well, we're trying to hold him accountable. But keep in mind, what he wants the money for isn't for securing our border. It's for processing more people into this country. And so literally, I'm in Arizona. I'm at the southern border. You look left, you look right. You're talking about miles and miles upon miles of fence. But every quarter of a mile, give or take, our government has cut out sections of the fence. It is wide open. In some places, you could drive a semi-truck through it. It's absolutely absurd. So any claim that he has or that he makes that he's doing anything to secure this border is absolute nonsense. There's one section down there. There's an old rancher. He's been ranching there on these federal lands. He has a lease for decades upon decades. It's like 60 or 70 years. He's an older gentleman. We literally, the U.S. government, I should say, cut out a section of fence right in front of his ranch, right in front of his home. And just a few weeks ago, while he was out on the farm working, you had illegals come into this country, broke into his home, robbed his house, tied up his wife. I mean, this is happening on our border on a regular basis. This is just kind of the status quo, that illegals are attacking Americans. Then you have some sections of the southern border that we don't even control, that literally the cartel are in control of the U.S. border. This is, are we in a third world country? Like, come on. So we have to take aggressive action against Biden, against this regime, and secure our border. Because look, this isn't a migration, this is an invasion, and it should scare you when you have over 250 people on the terror watch list we've caught on our southern border. The question remains, how many did we not catch?
Well, and I've said it so many times, when men are fleeing a war zone, they would bring their wife and kids with them. When they're going to war, they go alone. And you look at the groups of people that are crossing the border, and it's adult males.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of Americans have seen the footage. Most of the media is covering it. Is that train, and it's full of, like you said, military-age men just careening towards our southern border. You look at the Darien Gap. You just have an influx and all these camps and migration camps being set up, and they're migrating our way. I mean, again, roughly a dozen pulled off 9/11. So if only 100, quote unquote, those on the terror watch list got away, just 100, which is unacceptable. Imagine the damage they could do to our heartland. Imagine the damage that they could do to innocent victims. And that's not to mention the rapes, the murders, the assaults, the drunk driving, the accidents that happen day in and day out at the hands of illegals. And look, I'm not trying to be mean and cruel, but look, if you're here in violation of the law, you need to leave. Look, if I take my kids to Disney World and we sneak in, guess what they're going to do? They're going to kick us out, right?
Yep.
I mean, there are rules to go to Disney World, right? It's our country. It's our border. We get to decide who comes here, and people need to wrap their brains around that. But I tell you, when you have AOC having a town hall in New York and her constituents are yelling at her to shut the border, it's now sunk in to the blue cities that we've gone too far.
Well, and you have people in Chicago talking to the mayor. There was an older woman in Chicago yelling at the mayor, what are we going to do about this? He says, well, it's the federal government that's allowing this. They're trying to put the blame on Texas. He says, well, it's really the federal government. What can be done quickly? Like, how can we fix this, and how quick can it get fixed? Because it feels like we all know there's a problem, but it doesn't seem to be an end in sight to what's happening at the border.
Well, so let's be honest and acknowledge that the Biden administration won't do or take any steps necessary to secure our southern border and, quite frankly, to protect Americans. I don't see that happening. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that he is, but he could do something very simple. He could call up our military, and he could put them on the southern border on the Mexico side of the border and create a DMZ to protect Americans, and simply tell Mexico, once you get your migration under control, we will leave, but we're here to assist you. And so the military has full capability to go to southern border in a defensive posture to protect our country. It's constitutional. It can be done, but this president won't do it. And so tonight, tomorrow, every murder, every rape, every assault that takes place is on Joe Biden.
Do you feel like this is a global coordination of illegal migration? I mean, it seems like all these Western countries are having this problem. Italy's having this problem. We're having the problem down our southern border. Even Canada's having this problem. Do you feel like this is more coordinated, or do you feel like these are isolated incidents just so happen to be happening at the same time?
Well, you're called a conspiracy theorist until it's proven to be true, right? But I think what you're seeing in Europe in particular.
Let me break up my tinfoil.
An Italian island that's been overtaken, right?
Yeah.
It's a coordinated attack. They're trying to shift our demographics so that the left, quite frankly, and their allies in the socialists in Europe can take over. And again, that kind of sounds crazy, but you're seeing it. They're spending tens of millions of dollars on our elections and county clerks and all sorts of stuff that, again, would be science fiction 20 years ago. But look at Rules for Radicals. I mean, it's a book. It's a playbook on how you can take over a country, and it's playing out right before our eyes.
No, you're absolutely right. And then you see something happening north of Houston, this Colony Ridge development. Are you up to speed on Colony Ridge?
I am.
So Colony Ridge, the developer is giving home loans directly to illegal aliens. So they're worried that this is going to become a cartel-controlled city. It has the square mileage of D.C. Well, how does this fly? Where's Greg Abbott in all of this, and how does this get shut down?
Yeah, so basically it's a rent to own, kind of a owner finance type of situation. So this is definitely, when it comes to being able to move swiftly, the state of Texas, or quite frankly any state, is going to be able to move more quickly. Sorry, that's a buzzer in the background for votes. But they have the ability to move more rapidly, and so yes, I would look to the governor first to take action, and then we in Congress perhaps should take a look at it as well.
No, I think you should. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And my last question for you, on a more serious note, why does Zelenskyy only have one sweatshirt?
I don't know, but I think that's his look. But it doesn't matter. I think his timing, of course, he's not steeped into what's going on here in Washington D.C. But his timing to come to the United States right now couldn't be worse. Byron Donalds, congressman from Florida, said it well yesterday. Like, his timing to come here and ask for money at a time when we're looking at a government shutdown, federal employees are going to have to go home for a couple of weeks. It couldn't be worse. So I think there's growing momentum. I've been a loud advocate against more funding, for Ukraine from the beginning. Now that chorus has grown louder, and I think he's going to have a tough row to hoe here, as you should. Again, southern border, our veterans, you just name it. We have crises here at home that should be our top priority.
100%. Andy Ogles joining us. Andy, thank you so much. Good luck in D.C., my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I appreciate it. It is 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I saw your questions coming through on the Super Text line. I was trying to get to all of them for Andy Ogles. A little bit of a non-answer on the Zelenskyy sweatshirt question.
Avoided it.
Yeah, he avoided it. Classic politicians, am I right?
Can't answer the hard-hitting stuff.
Yo, I tried to bring the heat, and he totally avoids it. 9:53 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
10 o'clock on the dot this Wednesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we've got a crash in Cheatham County. It's impacting Jolton, 24 eastbound right before New Hope Road. It's stop and go starting at McMahon Hollow Road overpass. Well, the federal government spending showdown appears to continue inside the U.S. Capitol as House Republicans remain divided on whether to keep the government open past the September 30th deadline with a continuing resolution or shutter the doors until a full agreement can be reached. Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles telling WTN's Chris Hanshow.
The big holdup for a lot of us at the end of the day is the spending level. Going back to pre-COVID.
Speaker McCarthy today expressing optimism they will solve what he calls this problem. And Congressman Ogles says he's ready and willing to stay in D.C. this weekend to try. Federal Reserve set to make a decision about whether to raise interest rates again today. Economists believe the Fed will pause hikes for now, but inflation still above the Fed's target 2%, now sitting at 3.7%. Rebecca Jarvis says the Fed also has to weigh any rate hikes, which makes borrowing more money expensive, with what is happening in the job market.
The Fed has to balance that with the fact we now have an auto worker strike. There are other strikes in the country. There's $1 trillion, a record amount of credit card debt held by Americans, and the jobs market, while it's still historically strong, some places are hiring. For example, the government hiring 327,000 new positions so far over the last year. There are other industries that have shown some recent signs of weakness, even some downsizing.
Gasoline prices impact the price you pay for almost everything. And guess what's happening there, Kana Whitworth?
We saw gas prices shoot up more than 20 cents in just 48 hours. AAA says that 9 western states are paying more than $4 a gallon for gas right now. But the pain at the pump is being felt across this country. The national average for a gallon of gas is now at $3.87, which is more than 20 cents higher than a year ago.
Here in Middle Tennessee, Gas Buddy puts the average price per gallon at $3.51. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin. Now, I know so many people that have dealt with opioid addiction. It always starts the same way. You get injured at work, you get injured on the job or at home, and the doctor prescribes you a pill, and then you're down that path. Well, that's why I'm such a big supporter of the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin, because they'll fix your pain without any of the pills. It's huge. No matter what pain you're dealing with, back, neck, knee, hip, elbow, all of it can be treated with no pills, no needles, and no downtime. And at the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin, they've been helping people get back to a pain-free life that way for over 30 years. Right now, the Dr. Gill Center wants to give you a special offer if you're out there suffering with pain. Now is the time to fix it, and they're going to hook you up for $49. Get you all of your new patient initial exams, an x-ray, and a complete review of your findings. So less than $50 to find out what's causing your pain. Give the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin a call now and begin your journey in becoming pain-free. The number, 615-882-4838. That's 615-882-4838. And tell them Chris Hand told you to call. Remember, my friends, don't take a pill. Call Dr. Gill. $10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you once again to Andy Ogles for jumping by the show, talking about the government shutdown. Again, didn't answer the hard question, which is, why does Zelenskyy only wear one sweatshirt? Danced around it. But no, Andy Ogles is great. The Super Texters, I agree with you guys. Andy Ogles is absolutely based. One Super Texter said that Andy should run for president in 12 years.
Or maybe sooner.
Yeah, that Super Texter is playing a long game. You know what I mean? Like, that's what DeSantis should have done. DeSantis should have waited.
It's what Gavin Newsom might be doing.
I think that is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks at what Ron DeSantis and what happened to him and is like, yeah, I'll hold out. Plus, it's not like California could get any worse, right? I mean, how could it get worse? I mean, it'll probably get worse. It probably will. And as California gets worse, Democrats are urging California Attorney General to remove Trump from the 2024 ballot via the 14th Amendment. This is from the Post Millennial. California Democrats are reportedly urging fellow party member and state attorney general Rob Bonta to disqualify 2024 frontrunner Donald Trump from the ballot in the state using the 14th Amendment. And they're also urging Bonta's status as the top law enforcement official in the state. So California, I mean, like all these other blue holes states, they're arguing that Trump is ineligible to appear on the ballot because the 14th Amendment prohibits public officials who participated in an insurrection from holding office. Trump has not been charged with insurrection in any of the 4 indictments he's facing. You know, march peacefully and patriotically. What an insurrection. If that's an insurrection, it's the weakest insurrection that we've ever seen. Just absolutely soft. Like you could do an insurrection way harder than that. Right? Couldn't you? Like, if that's an insurrection, like, come on, man. Like non-dairy creamer. Bonta could reportedly use his standing in the state to expedite a state court ruling on the issue, which, if successful, could mean that the state is the first to remove Trump from the ballot, even if the ruling is overturned. Now, I mean, if Trump is removed from the ballot in California, like, it would be a collectively, you know, the crowd goes mild, because I don't think Trump would win California anyway. But maybe it gives the other states that want to remove Trump from the ballot a little bit of chutzpah to do it. You know what I mean? So it's something to keep an eye on. If it would happen anywhere first, it would be California. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, there was a letter from the lawmaker, which was obtained by Politico, that stated, "We all watched in horror as Mr. Trump's insurrection against the United States when he ordered a mob of his supporters to the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021, to intimidate Vice President Pence and the United States Congress." Oh, okay. Yep. Oh, we watched in horror. Were you in horror watching January 6th?
Still get nightmares.
You just wake up. The government. Somebody help them. I watched January 6th. Much like you, I watched it on TV. I was like, all right, cool. You know, that's weird. Didn't expect that to happen. But, I mean, there was feds in the crowd, so what do you expect? A spokesperson from Bonta's office said, "There's no denying that Donald Trump has engaged in behavior that is unacceptable and unbecoming of any leader, let alone a president of the United States." Unbecoming of a leader, says the guy whose president just runs around sniffing kids and, giving money to Ukraine and all that kind of stuff. That's not unbecoming of a leader. Bonta does have the ability as Attorney General to ask a court for a declaratory relief, which a judge can quickly rule on an unresolved legal question. In the letter, the lawmakers requested immediate intervention from Bonta on the issue. Now, Bonta, if he takes up the Dems' call to action, would be the first state attorney general moving to remove Trump from the ballot. In other states, the Secretary of State is relied upon for the action. One lawsuit brought forth by a California voter has called upon their Secretary of State, Shirley Weber, to remove Trump from the ballot. And Weber's office told Politico that they're carefully reviewing the issue. Cool. I mean, Trump is facing attempts in other states to remove him via the 14th Amendment, including Colorado. And a Florida judge rejected the case. So anything to keep this man away from the White House, right? They are so fearful of Donald Trump. I understand why they are. Also in Donald Trump news, he's going to be counter-programming the second GOP debate by appearing with striking auto workers in Detroit, which is cool. I mean, I get it. You want to win Michigan, you want to win Ohio, go down there and be with the people. Chris Christie took the opportunity with old Caviar Cavuto to tell everybody that's because Donald is scared. He's afraid.
Let's talk a little bit about Donald Trump's decision. I'm sure you're not surprised, but a number of times, Governor, you've said that you would follow Donald Trump. Do you still plan to follow him?
I'm sure you're not surprised, Chris.
Yeah, you said you were going to follow him.
Do you mean follow him in the polls, Chris? Because you're pretty far behind.
Yes.
Yeah, no, look, I said I was going to give him 2 debates to show up. So he's not going to show up at debate number 2. So after debate number 2, we're going to have to go find him, I guess. Look, we've got.
You don't want to run into Chris Christie in a back alley. We're going to go find him. What are you, in high school? We're gonna find him.
Look, we've got Joe Biden, who campaigned all these years ago in a basement. We now have Donald Trump, who's hiding behind the walls of his golf clubs and only going into very controlled circumstances where, he doesn't get to be asked questions by voters. I mean, I think
he only goes into very controlled situations. Didn't he do a town hall on CNN just a couple months back? Like, what is this guy talking about? That's like a lion's den for Republicans. It wasn't a favorable situation to go do a town hall on CNN. He only goes into very controlled situations.
And only going into very controlled circumstances where, he doesn't get to be asked questions by voters. I mean, I think this is incredibly disrespectful to voters, Neil. They have a right to hear from him about his record when he was president, about what his plans are if he were to be the nominee again. And he just is ignoring it.
Do you feel disrespected by Donald Trump for not going in to the ankle biter debate? Do you? I feel so disrespected. I do. I'm a meme show, and I want the memes. So please do a debate. Just roast these guys in person, Mr. President, please. That's the only reason I'm upset. I want him to roast these guys in person. Also, I want to point out, has the Vivek momentum cooled? Because, everybody was pretty hype on him for a while, myself included, until I did a deep dive and I just floundered on him hardcore. But it seems like Vivek had a lot of momentum, and it's just like completely died down. Like he rocketed up into everybody's kind of, peripheral, and we're all kind of sort of paying attention to him, watching him. And it seems like since then, he's absolutely cooled, which is interesting. Chris Christie's maintained more of his momentum than Vivek, I would argue.
I just haven't heard anything about him recently.
Vivek?
Yeah.
After he did the Eminem rap, seems like everything was downhill from there.
I mean, Chris Christie at least stays in the public eye, whether it's him looking like a buffoon or not. You're hearing about him.
Yep. Derek texted and he said, "Are you really holding water for Trump running to the left to gain votes?" No, I'm saying Chris Christie says that Trump only goes into controlled situations, and he went into the town hall on CNN with an audience handpicked by CNN that wouldn't be kind to him. So I was countering Chris Christie's point that Trump only goes into controlled situations.
6887 said Chris Christie has a ton of momentum.
Randy also texted and said, Christie will have a lot of momentum. He has a lot of mass.
I'm easy. These are good.
4504. It should not be difficult to get why Chris Christie has more momentum than Vivek. Possibly the word inertia will help you. Huh? All right.
9492 said, stalker alert. Gonna find you.
Oh, what a creeper. Absolute creeper.
And you're right, that does sound like some sort of 80s high school movie.
Like, yeah.
Gonna find you, man.
Yeah, you better not be out here after class, bro. 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock in the parking lot. You and me, pal. I gave you 2 chances to show up. Now I'm coming to your house. Okay.
All right,
dude.
what?
2785 texted and said, Vivek skyrocketed for a second because the Trump haters in the Republican Party thought they might have someone who could beat him. But then the polls came. LOL. LOL. Vivek kind of seems like he's floundering. But Trump is standing with the United Auto Workers. He's going to counter that debate with a speech, a rally with United Auto Workers. He even released an ad, a new ad, saying that he's standing with auto workers.
They're America's auto workers. They helped build our country and keep us on the move. And we've always been able to count on them during times of war, peace, prosperity, and tough times. Yet all they've ever wanted is to compete fairly worldwide and get their fair share of the American dream. Donald Trump calls them great Americans and has always had their backs, from tax cuts for their families to playing hardball with China. Biden, he's turned his back on the auto workers by cutting a deal that uses American tax dollars to help fund China's electric car business. That's a stake in the heart for American auto workers. And they can count on President Trump.
Yeah, and I'm President Trump, and I approve this message. So I'm just glad that Alice Rowley's voice guy from the radio commercials got a new gig after the Matt Murphy incident. I don't want anybody unemployed in this economy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I get why he did the ad. A little soft, but I get it. That he's standing with the auto workers. Karine Jean-Pierre was asked on CNN, any consideration of a trip down to the UAW strike in Michigan?
Any consideration of a trip down to Michigan?
We're going to support and engage the best way that we can, and the president's going to continue to support UAW and also
but not
workers.
To go himself.
I don't have any things to share on any trip or anything like that, but we support certainly the UAW workers, and we believe that they should have a record contract just like the companies have a record profit.
Oh, yeah. I would think that President Biden will visit the train crash site in East Palestine, Ohio, before he goes and stands with UAW workers. And, to be perfectly honest, I'm not like a huge fan of union guys. I am a huge fan of people getting paid what they deserve. I don't really have a dog in the fight on this UAW strike. Like, But I do understand why Trump is leaning in to support the UAW strikers because historically they vote Democrat. And the Rust Belt, that Michigan, Ohio, that's very important to win an election. So win those guys over. 5327 texted in. He said, I was a UAW Muppet. Corrupt to the wall. Yeah, all right. Derek texted in. He said, I'm still a Vivek guy. I will not, repeat, will not be casting a fourth vote for Trump, period. I won't be voting for a Dem. But I'll gladly vote for state races and leave that Trump bubble empty if he's on the general. I don't know, dude. All right. Like, not voting for Trump if he's the nominee is essentially a vote for Biden. Even in Tennessee, where, historically red, seems kind of soft. 1020 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Getting sloppy out there in traffic. We've got a crash reported near the airport, 40 westbound, right before Donaldson Pike. And then in Jolton, north of downtown, 24 eastbound, right before New Hope Road. It's stop and go starting at the Springfield-Ashland City Highway 49 exit. Hear from one of the members of the so-called House Republican Rebellion against Speaker McCarthy's wish for keeping the federal government open beyond the September 30th deadline. And hear Merrick Garland defend his Justice Department against allegations it's been weaponized to go after conservatives. These stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. That Merrick Garland audio is it's It's getting spicy down there with the Justice Department. We'll have some of that audio later on too. Once I comb through it and find the juicy tidbits. You know, I keep getting texts from our friend Derek, and I like him. Just for the record, Derek, I don't want you to feel like I'm coming at you. I've often said that I don't want this show to be an echo chamber, so I'd much rather have somebody pushing back on me, which is why I keep highlighting your text. Just so you know. You know, I said he had a comment. He's not a Vivek guy, but he won't be voting for Trump. And I pushed back on that. And he says, I won't vote for a man who can't bluntly say that a woman can't become a man. I won't vote for someone who says there should be nationwide abortion. Call it soft, but my vote isn't just party or die. And I sent him a text back. I said, when it comes to Trump, the man appointed 3 Supreme Court justices that removed Roe. How is that not a win? Everybody's been talking about removing Roe. He's the only one that got it done. I don't want to get into like the whole abortion conversation, but dude. And as far as Trump, yeah, I know what you're talking about. There was an answer to a question on man and woman, and he kind of danced around it, but dude, do you really think that Trump thinks a woman can become a man? I don't think that he's that guy. But, you know, what do I know? I don't want to sway you. I do just want to let you know that I appreciate your counterpoints and I appreciate the pushback because, again, I don't want this to be an echo chamber. But as another super texter, 4860, pointed out, if you won't vote for Trump, who appointed 3 Supreme Court justices to remove Roe, then you're probably never going to vote for a Republican ever again. You know what I mean? Like, what else do you want?
Ann says it's voting time. He's going to dance around that.
Yeah, exactly. You can't blame him for that. But he's trying to win over independents right now. So, 0231 said, I've cooled on Vivek, not because of the Soros stuff, but because of his past love for Bernie. He's a plant. He does feel like he's very plant-like.
I didn't know he had a past love for Bernie.
Yep.
He felt the burn.
John said, here's some echo for you. Anyone who claims to be a conservative and swears they won't vote for Trump if he's the nominee has their head in the sand. Bingo. Oh, Mac.
Bingo.
There you go. Mac was looking for it for a second. I saw him throw his hands up looking for bingo.
It's like, come on, I need my bingo.
I mean, what else do you want? How are you not going to vote for Trump? Gas prices, no new wars, peace in the Middle East, energy independence, moving towards energy dominance. Did I mention no new wars? Okay. Overturning Roe v. Wade, 3 conservative Supreme Court justices that we're still seeing positive ripple effects from. How would you not vote for that man? I mean, seriously. 7679 says if he does not vote for Trump, he's voting for Biden then because Trump will be the nominee. I don't think there's anything that will change Trump being the nominee. Nothing at this point. The man's absolutely crushing it in the polls. Despite hiring Alice Rowley's voice guy for radio commercials, you know, nothing is going to deter people from voting for Trump. So, I mean, who would you rather take? Are you a DeSantis guy? Is that what this comes down to? Because DeSantis is a great governor, but he would be nowhere without Trump. He wouldn't have even been in the governor's seat without Trump, and he basically campaigned and got where he was by acting like Trump. 3928 texted in, said, I won't be voting for Trump because I like him personally. I'm voting for Trump because of the policies and the fact that he can get this country to be what it was created to be, a superpower, not a clown show.
What a ridiculous clown show.
It is currently a ridiculous clown show. And I think that that's a good point. Who cares what you think about the man personally? Oh, he says mean things. Oh, no, heavens.
Orange man bad.
Orange man bad. I forgot that. Good point. 10:30. Time for the news with Ken Weaver on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And that traffic situation north of Nashville just got worse. Looks like 24 eastbound is closed there in Cheatham County. That's going to be between Springfield, Ashland City, Highway 49, exit 24, and New Hope Road. That's Highway 249, exit 31. And looks like they have just cleared that crash near the airport. That was impacting 40 westbound right before Donaldson Pike. The federal government spending showdown continues inside the Capitol as House Republicans remain divided on whether to keep the government open past the September 30th deadline with a continuing resolution or shutter the doors until a full agreement can be reached. Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles telling WTN's Chris Hand Show he's calling on leadership to reestablish the Byrd Committee to examine all federal government spending and identify non-essential funding for reduction or elimination.
That's all I'm advocating for. Is it's been done before. Let's do it again, and let's see actual results for the American people.
Ogles says he's willing to stay in D.C. this weekend to try to hammer out a budget. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. We know that diversification is an important part of the investing process, but how do you reduce risk of a portfolio through diversification? Well, you use correlations. Now think of bathing suit sales and suntan oil sales. They tend to move together, right? Think of bathing suit sales versus winter coat sales. More dissimilar movement, and that's the idea. But why is diversification so important? Well, think about it this way. Everybody would like to have this happen with their investments. They just go straight up. But what we know is this is really what tends to happen. Markets may go way up and then down, or down, then way up. Now let's say if we isolate parts of that curve right there, and the first curve right there, and the second curve right there. If you're putting money away for retirement, every time you put money in, if this is what's going on, you're buying more shares. Then just before you retire, the market goes up, you're really happy. If, on the other hand, you keep paying a higher and higher price and then the market goes down, you're really sad. And we can't choose what's going to happen with the market next. But what we can do is what we know through academic research, and there are Nobel Prizes awarded for this, is we can look for things that tend to move in dissimilar fashion. And what happens when we do that, we can reduce the volatility of the portfolio, hence bringing those curves in. Now that's the idea. Now, if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Paul Winkler Inc. I got 4 kids. Me and my wife didn't have a financial plan until we linked up with Paul and his team, and I'm so glad we did because when you have 4 kids, the future comes at you fast and hard. Let me just tell you that. And the bills pile up, and we're already thinking about what if these kids want to go to college? Hopefully my girls get married. I'm going to have weddings to pay for down the road. How are we going to afford it? Well, after meeting with Paul and his team, I've come up with a game plan. Now, because Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than is required, the government regulators require that I tell you I'm paid every time this commercial airs, and that's fine. That's good. That's the truth. But it's because I got to sit down with Paul, break bread, have my questions answered honestly and in a way that I can understand that I decided to become a client myself. I'm impressed. Paul's a smart guy. He knows the financial world better than I do, and even more so, he can break it down so someone like me can understand it. Even more important to me, nothing his team does is done on commission. Let me repeat that again. Nothing his team does is done on commission, meaning when they tell me how to plan for my future, I know that they have me in mind, not their paycheck in mind. It's massive. It gives me peace of mind. He's made my financial goals far more realistic by explaining what to do and why. Their investment education is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research, so you should do what I did. Check these guys out. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience, and you can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest, so do what I did. Talk to one of his team members. Set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com or call 615-851-1950. $10:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up? It's Chris Hand. You know, we were talking about Donald Trump counter-programming the GOP debate by hanging out with the UAW auto workers. And I think that's a winning strategy because he also puts Biden in a position where if Biden goes and stands with the strikers now, well, it looks like he's doing it reactionary to President Trump. He's just classic Joe Biden. Day late and a dollar short. You know what I mean? Classic. That's just that is Biden 2024. A day late and a dollar short, right? I mean, geez.
I've been multiple dollars short in this administration. That's what I'll say.
Yo,
yeah.
Real talk. Multiple dollars. Geez. You know, Democrats traditionally do stand with the unions. Unions traditionally do stand with Democrats. That's just match made in heaven, right? Even John Fetterman. John Fetterman is standing with the union workers. He's from Pennsylvania. Of course he's going to stand with those guys, right? Makes sense. Rust Belt, all that jazz. But Fetterman sent a bone-chilling message to the CEOs of the big 3 motor companies. Have you heard this? Oh my gosh, the passion in this man's voice. This is John Fetterman and his message to the big 3 CEOs. Oh, sorry, I got to turn off my audio. I pulled a Fetterman there. Here's Fetterman's bone-chilling message.
My message to the CEOs is, it's $74 million, collectively earning that. How many yachts can they need, to water ski behind it? It's just crazy.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I thought exactly.
Yeah, nailed it. Nailed it.
No notes.
How many yachts do they need to yacht and ski behind? Real talk.
It's $74 million, collectively earning that. How many yachts can they need, to water ski behind it? It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it?
What?
Nailed it. One take.
Nice.
All right, so I said this on the Gang of Four Amigos. I think this puts the clone talk to bed. Yep. Everybody says that Fetterman's been replaced by a clone. Everybody on the internet thinks John Fetterman's been replaced by a clone. But But like, just listen to this. Just listen to this one more time.
My message to the CEOs is, it's $74 million, collectively earning that. How many yachts can they need, to water ski behind it? It's just crazy.
Couldn't we afford a better clone?
Yeah.
If we're doing clones, guys, don't you think we could get a better one?
Update the software on this one.
Yeah. I love the clone talk. I'm always in on the conspiracy theories, just for the record. Like, I love it. I love diving down rabbit holes on the internet. I really do. It's fun. But like, if we're going to get a clone, I think we can get one that works.
I always ski behind my yachts, so.
Do you?
Yeah, of course. What?
How many yachts do you need a yacht behind? All right, I don't know. Not many. 9058 said, who the hell skis behind a yacht? 2785 says, how many yachts could a yacht buyer yacht if a yacht buyer could buy yachts? That's a good point. 3704 said, if Fetterman's a clone, how could you mimic that gibberish? That's my point. If we're going to replace people with clones, let's get a good clone in there. 3645 said even Porky Pig could have said that better. 7399 staying on the Looney Tunes theme says sounds like they cloned Elmer Fudd. Oh, jeez. Mark said he's not a clone, just a clown. Yep. 4202 said Fetterman reminds me of the guy on King of the Hill that talks way too fast. That'd be Boomhauer. My favorite King of the Hill character is Dale, though. Seems like everything Dale said came true. It's weird. 4460 said John Fetterman is AI gone wrong. Aaron said, "This is all right." Aaron said, "Hey, we don't want to be an echo chamber." Aaron said, it could be a great clone.
That's pretty good thinking.
Maybe.
It's so good that it mimics his
It's $74 million, collectively earning that. How many yachts can they need, to water?
Yeah, all right, maybe it is just that good of a clone. Now I'm rethinking my whole thing. Now I'm back to thinking, Fetterman's a clone. All right. 2211 said he needs to go see Dr. Oz to find out what's wrong with him. Yep. Oh, my gosh. Get a better clone. Roger and Dixon, you have a comment on President Trump. Roger, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Roger?
Hey, what's going on, Chris? You got me fired up walking my dog, man.
Oh, man, I don't want you fired up walking the dog, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so me and the dog hustle. I had to call you. Hey, I voted for Trump twice.
All right.
Retired Army.
Thanks for your service.
January 6th broke my back. I could never vote for the guy again. I hear people will say, Trump shouldn't have went down to the Capitol. The Secret Service said no, he can't go down there and stop that right. That's a bunch of crap. The president goes anywhere he wants to go. Don't give me that line. And let's be honest, he also threw Mike Pence under the bus, and Mike Pence was a loyal guy to him. And I tell you what, I got a problem with that. You can call it what you like, and I know there's probably agitators in the crowd, but come on now, they stormed the Capitol. You have to admit that. And I guess that just was the straw that broke my back, that I could never vote for him again.
So you think it's the only reason that they stormed the Capitol is because of Trump?
I believe it was the main thing. I believe he egged them on. I said, you have to admit that.
But he said,
if you're honest, you have to admit he egged them on.
No, I won't admit that. But he said go down to the Capitol patriotically and peacefully. And there were reports. He's
a smart guy.
But there were reports that people were storming the Capitol while he was still speaking.
Yeah, but he's a smart guy. You don't think he could have went down there and stopped it by just telling them, "Hey, this is going too far. We need to calm down. We need to go home."
Didn't he post
about what we're doing?
Didn't he post a tweet and a video saying, "Stop fighting with police. Go home"?
Chris, if you were the president, would you have went down there and stopped it? Would you have said, "Hey, I'm not going to let this go on"?
If you were
would've.
in charge of Secret Service and there's a group of people fighting, Capitol police officers, and you have reports that someone has been shot inside the Capitol, would you let the president go there?
They don't have a choice on that. The president goes where he wants to go. Don't ever let that line switch it. He goes where he wants to go.
Okay.
If he wants to go down to Joe's Pool Hall, he can go down there.
So in May, when Antifa was storming the White House during the Summer of Love riots, right?
You're going pro quo here, something for something else. Let's stay on the topic, Chris.
Well, I'm saying,
what about it? If you were the president of the United States, would you have stopped it? Yes or no?
I think he did everything he could do.
That's where we just totally disagree, and we'll just have to agree to disagree.
No.
Enjoy your show, by the way.
Hey, I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you calling in with a counterpoint. I don't want to shout you down or say you're wrong or anything like that. You're definitely entitled to your opinion. My opinion is that there was quite a few people that were rightfully angry and rightfully felt that the election was stolen from them, one way or another. I mean, in 2019, when the laptop from hell is released, they absolutely shut down that story via big tech. Even if you don't get into, the voting machines were rigged and, servers in Germany and Venezuela, all that, right? The media actively rigged that election, right?
Well, I can't argue with that. I agree with you. But I'm just going back to that January 6th. I'm sorry. I believe in this country. And when you storm the Capitol and you're encouraging people to storm the Capitol, I'm sorry. That's just where I have to draw the line.
He said we're going to march down there and let our voices be heard patriotically and peacefully. He did not say we're going to storm the Capitol and take this country back by any means necessary. And I'll put it a step further. Had he said we're going to storm the Capitol and take it by any means necessary, you would have had so many more people lining up to do just that. I think the fact that it didn't happen gives more credence to what I'm saying as opposed to you. Because if he was encouraging them, it would have changed overnight. If the man said, I need every police officer, firefighter, former military veteran to go down to the Capitol and storm it, we're taking back our country, it would have been a much different day, my friend.
Well, Chris, let me ask you this. All right, you're one of the guys that got convicted for going down there. Honest to God, if Trump gets elected again, do you think he'll pardon them? I do. I think he'll pardon them all. And my point with that is you're going too far when you're storming the Capitol. That's too far. And that's just a point that this country, we've always had law and order. And if you're a law and order person, that's too far. And that's the thing. I guess it's, it turned me off and a lot of other people that supported Trump off. Believe it or not, there are people out there like me that, that was just too much.
Oh, no. I definitely know there's people out there like you. And that's why I appreciate you calling so we can have this conversation. I just don't think that he incited an insurrection. I don't think that that's the case at all. And I think that the opposite is true. Had he wanted to, he could have.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
He told Pelosi.
I got my point out.
I appreciate it. He told Pelosi that she could have National Guard and it was turned down. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. That was the wrong move. Totally wrong move. She sure should have. She knew it was going to be. Well, you got it. I honestly believe this. The Democrats egged it on. Let's be honest. If you're a Democrat and you want, all conservatives to look bad, it couldn't have went any better for them at that point. That is something that, especially with independent voters and people like me, that, it couldn't have went any worse. I will agree with you on that. They wanted it. I'll agree with you on that.
So Democrats egged it on and Trump egged it on?
Yes, I honestly believe both. Yes, I would say both.
So you're not going to vote for Trump?
Yeah, I can't because the way he also threw Mike Pence under the bus.
Well, who cares about Mike Pence? Mike Pence is milquetoast. Mike Pence is milquetoast. He's the most milquetoast politician ever. I still
think he was an honest man. I think he's a God-fearing man.
The only reason Mike Pence was there was to give Trump a rubber stamp of the evangelical voters. Mike Pence is non-essential. I don't care about Mike Pence. I
understand.
What Trump did for this country is he started no new wars. He had the Abraham Accords. He moved the embassy to Jerusalem.
Agreed. Chris, I totally agree with you.
But you're hanging your hat on patriotically and peacefully make your voices heard, being incitement to violence. And I'll tell you this. People love Trump so much that if he really did want to incite an insurrection, it would have happened in a heartbeat. And I think,
I agree with you.
But you can't have it both ways, man. You can't agree with me and think that Trump started an insurrection. Like, it can't be both.
But Chris, you honestly are telling me if you were the president of the United States, you would not have went down to the Capitol and say, hey, got on a megaphone and say, hey, we need to back this off.
Here's what I'm saying to you, my friend, and I don't mean this in any rude way, but I think that the propaganda has hit you in the feels, and it's taken hold. I don't think he incited an insurrection. I think that you've heard regurgitated talking points over and over, and it's taken root somehow. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say the Democrats did it and Trump did it. You just can't.
Chris, I just think it's time for new leadership in the Republican Party. I'll vote for anybody but him.
Yo, show me somebody that's a better candidate, and I'll be happy.
Well, I like DeSantis, so I can't say I like DeSantis.
Okay, you want to talk about loyalty? You want to talk about loyalty? He wasn't loyal. Trump wasn't loyal to Mike Pence. What about DeSantis? DeSantis would never even be governor.
Disloyal, Chris.
DeSantis would
when
never even be
want to
governor.
run against somebody for the highest office in the land.
DeSantis said he wasn't going to run against Trump, and then he did it. DeSantis wouldn't even be governor without Trump. If you want to talk about loyalty and you want to go down that road,
I disagree with you there. I think you are twisting the facts. He would have won that. He was going to get reelected as governor. No way.
Yeah.
You are twisting the facts.
No way, Jose. No
you
way.
are way twisting.
No
the
way.
facts.
No
Come
way.
On, man.
Nope. Hard
All
pass.
right.
Hard pass. Listen,
I
Dave.
gotta roll. Thank you, man.
Hey, I appreciate Roger. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. And I don't want the show to be an echo chamber, and I appreciate calls like you. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
All
Have a
right,
good
man.
day.
Yeah, you too, bud. Take it easy. All right, it is 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. David in Hendersonville, Daniel in Tullahoma. I'm getting to your calls next. Plus, we got a slew of super texts to react to. Shout out to Roger and Dixon. Listen, like I said, this show is a lot better when it's not an echo chamber. So call in with your counterpoints. Let's argue. Let's have the conversation. That's where I'm at. 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hanford, Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. It can be so hard to find somebody you trust when it comes to these large home repairs, and that includes heating and cooling. You got to know a guy who knows a guy. Well, let me tell you about my guy, Jeff Eddy with Efficient Heating and Cooling. It's getting to be cold. Fall's rolling in. You're going to be kicking on that heater in the morning, get the chill out of the air. Don't kick it on and then find out it's not working. Call Jeff Eddy and his crew to service your heater today. Efficient Heating and Cooling, they're a small company, but they provide big service and even bigger results. I trust Jeff and his crew to do what's right because they proved it time and time again. So if you're trying to make the decision on repairing or replacing your system, if you've already had a guy come and look at your system and you're not sure you can trust what they're saying, well, give Jeff and his crew a chance to give you a second opinion. They'll walk you through every option and scenario so that way you can make an informed decision, while most companies will just pressure you to replace your system because they make more money that way. That's not Jeff's style. Plus, with Efficient, they offer up to 18 months, same as cash financing on your next unit. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric, an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. Go to efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424.
Still got that big traffic problem north of Nashville. It is affecting 24 eastbound in Jolton. There is a crash with the shoulder blocked. It is about a 94-minute delay now. That crash right before New Hope Road on eastbound 24. Hear from a Tennessee congressman who's among the so-called rebellious House Republicans in the ongoing government spending showdown. Attorney General Merrick Garland defending his Justice Department against Republican allegations it is weaponized, and a lunchtime favorite's the subject of a major recall. These stories and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Get hype for Ken Weaver's newscast. So it's not that.
Well, it will be a new cast.
It will. All right. Sorry. All right. Sean in Franklin, Dave in Hendersonville, Daniel in Tullahoma. Please stay on the line, guys. I'm going to get to your calls next in the order in which they were received. Your call is important to us. Please continue to hold. Right now, Ken Weaver with the latest news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot this Wednesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, that is a 90-minute delay eastbound 24 in Cheatham County. That's right before New Hope Road. You got a crash blocking a shoulder there in Jolton. The federal government spending showdown appears to continue inside the U.S. Capitol as House Republicans remain divided on whether to keep the government open past the September 30th deadline with a continuing resolution or shutter the doors until a full agreement can be reached. Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles tells WTN's Chris Hand to show he and the other so-called rebellious members want spending limits and deregulation.
All eyes are on us. We have a job to do. Let's stay here. Let's work long hours. Let's work the weekend.
Speaker McCarthy signaled keeping members in D.C. this weekend. Elsewhere in our nation's capital today, Attorney General Merrick Garland defending his Justice Department against Republican allegations it's weaponized against conservatives, while slow-walking the investigation into whether President Biden financially benefited from his son Hunter allegedly selling his father's influence for favors in overseas business dealings. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The Republican chairman of the House Judiciary Committee accused the Justice Department of pursuing the president's rival while protecting the president's son.
The fix is in.
And Jim Jordan says Americans see a double standard.
Justice Department's got both sides of the equation covered.
Attorney General Merrick Garland insisted his department applies the law evenly and won't be intimidated.
Our job is not to take orders from the president, from Congress, or from anyone else about who or what to criminally investigate.
A lunchtime favorite, the subject of a major recall. Kraft Heinz says there was a problem with the machine that wraps each slice of its Kraft Singles American cheese, and that problem means it's possible that a thin strip of film from the wrapper could remain on the cheese, creating a possible choking risk. Nobody's been hurt. The machine has been fixed, but Kraft Heinz is now recalling more than 83,000 cases of cheese. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1105. My name is Chris Hand. Find me off air. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Truth Social, at Chris Hand on air. Mac is also on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle, Mac?
Mac J. Maury 25.
Mac J. Maury 25. MAC. He spells it like one of them hipsters.
Like the burger.
Like the burger. Big Mac. Mac has a new sports podcast out today, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting a sports podcast. So if you're interested in sports, if you like the sports ball, Mac is highly educated on it.
It's on Spotify, Behind the Box Score.
Yep.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah,
of course.
I'm
Check it out.
excited
I retweeted his podcast on my Twitter, at Chris Hand on Air. You can find his Twitter there. Hit the follow button. We'll both follow back because that's what we do. Roger called in a minute ago. Roger called in. He's not voting for Trump. I'm getting a lot of texts that are anti-Roger. I want to go on the record saying I'm pro-Roger because I don't want this show to be an echo chamber. I like having conversations about politics, and I like having conversations with people that disagree with me. And sometimes that's more fun than having conversations with people that do agree with me. You know what I mean? Like,
of course. It's how you learn and grow and gain new perspectives.
100%. And I'll always allow new information to change my mind. I always want my opinions to be evolving. But, there's a lot of people waiting on the line that don't agree with Roger, so let's get to them. Dave in Hendersonville, you've been waiting patiently. You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Dave?
Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Chris?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I'm pro Roger, too, man. Everybody's got a right. We're in the United States. Everybody's got a right to have their opinion.
Yep.
I disagree with him. I'm a big Mark Levin fan. I believe there isn't too many people out there that know the Constitution better than Mark Levin. And he says that Pence had the right to take and put a hold on those just as long enough to get a recount on. That's all President Trump was asking. And as far as the people going in and into the Capitol, if it was really going to be something bad, like you were saying, it would have been a lot worse than what it was.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if he was really inciting an insurrection, it probably would have happened.
Yes. With that being said, now, it is in the Constitution, and I'm a firm believer that we need to take up this right that we have in the Constitution to take our country back. In 2.5 years, look what has happened.
Yeah.
We were number one in energy, okay? We was about to go dominant where we was going to be selling it across the country, and it would have also took and cut down on our debt.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right on those points.
Unemployment was down, lowest ever, across the board. Blacks, whites, Hispanic, Asian, women, across the board. I just don't see how Trump can say as mean things as he wants as long as he's taking care of this country, and that he did.
Hey, and I'm with you on that. Mean tweets and cheap gas 2024. Thanks for the call, Dave. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, bud.
Yeah, man. Daniel in Tullahoma has been waiting. Daniel, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Daniel?
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. People seem to have a short memory. When Trump came out and said, "We caught them all," he means we caught them all. Now, he created Space Force. They're recording everything. NSA records everything. And all the other three-letter agencies that are corrupt, they're still recording, but they're going to hide that information. But again, people need to understand, and it's not sinking in. When Trump said, "We caught them all," he has all the information on every single individual, every single politician, governor, me, you, whoever. He has it all. He's seen it all. He's been briefed on it. It's been explained to him. The American public has a short memory, and when he says he's got it all, he means exactly he has it all. Full stop.
Hey, thanks for the call, Daniel. I appreciate it. I would like to see, if he does have it all, I would like to see it, used in that capacity and see some charges brought up on some people. Still waiting to see what happened with those FISA warrants and the wiretapping of Trump Tower. I mean, nobody's been held responsible for that. And in fact, a new intelligence committee is being created, and it's pretty wild. So hold on, let me find that story. new intelligence expert panel is being created, right? Mayorkas names Russia hoaxers, laptop deniers, Brennan Clapper to intelligence experts panel. So all those people that did the stuff against Trump, well, now they're on an intelligence experts panel, thanks to Homeland Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. So, I guess these people just keep failing up. I think that if Trump gets in, we do need to see some actions on the crimes that have been committed. And if he does have it all, let's see it. Sean in Franklin, you have a comment on President Trump. You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Sean?
Is this supposed to be John in Franklin?
Oh, John in Franklin. Sorry, Mac is Mac. He's new. He's
my bad, man.
No, it's my southern accent. You doing okay?
Yeah, man. What's up?
Well, listen. First of all, you can vote for who you want to. Hopefully, you just get your vote counted properly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what the whole thing was with Trump. But I just want to ask you a question. I thought about this for a long time. I've been following this from the beginning. And whose house is the Capitol? Is it the people? Is it the governments? Is it Congress? Because if it's the people's house, I've never been arrested for coming into my house that I pay for coming into my house.
Yeah.
I don't think those people were there to do anything other than to say, hey, we think that there's something that's not normal here, and we would like to have this thing looked at again. That to me is all it was.
No, I hear you. I mean, to a certain extent, I feel like if you were there on January 6th and you walked into the Capitol, like you're kind of an idiot because you're walking into a honeypot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is that do I have to have permission to walk into a house that I'm paying taxes on? That to me, I mean, again, it may sound dumb, and I realize that. And
no, I don't think you sound dumb, John, at all. I think you bring up a good point. Like we do pay for it. However, with everything going on and people fighting cops and all that kind of stuff, I think that people should have known better. Given
I agree.
Given the state of the country, that this wasn't going to be a good look at the end of the day. But I appreciate the call, John. Thank you so much. Mike in Winchester, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Mike?
Just throwing a question to you.
Yeah.
About the White House January 6th dealing, did the people forget about the busloads that were dropped off before the riots started at the White House?
Oh, my
gosh.
You
remember seeing that?
Yeah.
On Fox News, they reported that. Those were all the liberal protesters, insurrectionists in my book.
No, hey, and I think you bring up a good point. They were bussing people into protests and riot all over the country that summer. During the Summer of Love. And I remember, I have a lot of friends in Detroit because I lived there for a while. Detroit is a tight-knit city, and when they bust in protesters, the locals in Detroit said, yeah, get back on the bus. Get back on.
Exactly.
And there wasn't large-scale riots in Detroit because of it.
Exactly. And then you seen when they were bussed in on January 6th, all of a sudden they charged the White House. They're the ones that did the damage while Trump was still speaking and didn't have the knowledge that this was even going on. But the people forget that part, and that's pretty much what I got to say.
No, and I appreciate the call, Mike, and I think part of that is because people, that's how the propaganda works. You know what I mean? They beat you over the head with something continuously until it becomes fact. If you tell a lie long enough, it'll become the truth, right? And that's what they've done with their propaganda machine. So, to a certain extent, I can't blame people for falling for the narrative because if the left is good at anything, it is narrative control, and they have controlled this narrative very well.
Oh, no doubt.
Hey, I appreciate the call, Mike. Thanks so much. This is where we're at as the country. The propaganda is real. The propaganda affects people. It just does. It's hard not to see that.
1762 said, Chris, I think what you're failing to realize is that Roger isn't voting for Trump simply because he's seen what can be and he's been unburdened by what has been.
1762, first-time texter. Thank you so much. This is where we're at. So I did point out there's a new Breitbart's reporting a new intelligence experts panel. And this is how they control the narratives, right? Mayorkas names John Brennan and James Clapper to an intelligence experts panel. These are the same experts that said the laptop from hell was Russian disinfo. So, now they're on the experts panel. In a statement, Mayorkas announced the establishment of the Homeland Intelligence Experts Group, comprised of private sector experts who provide their unique perspectives on the federal government's intelligence enterprise to DHS's and the Office of Counterterrorism Coordinator. The group will analyze foreign nation-state adversaries as well as domestic violent extremists. Brennan, former CIA director, and Clapper, former director of national intelligence, were key players in spreading the Russia collusion hoax. And now, of course, they are on the intelligence experts panel. Thank you, Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Mark in Murfreesboro, you have a comment on McCarthy. What's up, Mark? You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah. I just want to know how come the people that broke into McCarthy's office weren't arrested like they were on January 6th. They broke into the Capitol just like anybody else.
No, you're absolutely right. And you're talking about they were protesting the AIDS medication. Let me pull up the story. Protesters arrested. They were arrested. Protesters arrested for occupying Kevin McCarthy's office over AIDS funding.
Are they still in jail?
Dude, probably
People
not.
from January 6th are still in jail.
100%. Yeah, they're serving long
what's
sentences.
the difference here? Come on.
Well, I think if I'm and I'm just a humble radio host, but if I'm keeping score at home, I think the only difference is political affiliation.
You're just too nice of a guy to say that you're just humble.
I mean, what about the Antifa protesters and rioters in May that were fighting with Secret Service on the White House lawn that forced Donald Trump into a bunker for security? That wasn't an insurrection. I mean, we can go down the list. It's rules for thee, but not for me, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and then they think we're lying when we say we have a two-tier justice system. But hey, Mark, I appreciate the call and great point. Charges for thee, but not for me. Crazy. But people that think Trump is orange man bad, again, I think that you're letting the narrative control of the left. I think you're letting the propaganda machine seed that stuff into your brain, maybe even subconsciously. But I don't think DeSantis is the guy. If you think Trump isn't the guy, DeSantis definitely isn't the guy. And I'll even point out, anybody else besides Trump is going to have to govern with their eye towards a second term. They're not going to be able to go in scorched earth the way Orange Man can. So that alone should make you at least value what could be and not be burdened by what has been. You know what I mean?
When in doubt, man.
When in doubt, lean on the lines. So let's play the hits.
Kamala.
You're doing something right when Ken Weaver chirps in.
Yes, exactly.
I couldn't resist.
I mean, but guys, who else is going to go in there and do the things that need to be done? Like, I don't know, get rid of the FBI or at least fire the bureaucrats. Everybody else is going to be handcuffed by the fact that they would have to run for re-election. Trump isn't going to have that hanging over his head this time. He also isn't going to be going in as a newbie this time. He's going to go in with a lot more experience than before. And that's on both sides. He's going to know the Republican Party better than he did. He's going to know the Democrat Party better than he did. He's not going to make the same mistakes hiring people that he did. And he's not going to make the same mistakes not firing people that he should have. At least that's what I hope for. I could absolutely be wrong. And I'll allow, if Trump wins, I'll be the first one to allow new information to change my mind. But where we stand right now, currently on September 20th of 2023, that's how it looks to me, at least from my vantage point. If you disagree with me, I'd want to hear from you. Change my mind. 615-737-9986. Again, I don't want to be an echo chamber. I had a great conversation with Roger, who disagreed with me. They had 5 calls that disagree with Roger. I don't want it to be an echo chamber. I don't want the Chris Hand Show to become an echo chamber. I'd rather us have a civil conversation, with you disagreeing with me. I'm not going to shout you down. I'm not going to call you an idiot. But change my mind. Change my mind, please. 615-737-9986, 1120 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at United Structural Systems. I got to meet the guys at USS, and they told me in their industry, you don't know you need it until you know you need it. Well, I found out the hard way after we got a critter in my crawl space that, we need some crawl space help. And I called the guys at USS after not being sure what to do. I remembered, no, I know exactly what to do. I'm going to call USS. So I called the guys, and we're coming up with a custom plan to encapsulate my entire crawl space. So do me a favor. If you haven't poked your head down in your crawl space in a while, go check it out. If you're noticing standing water in your crawl space, if you're noticing wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors, that's your house trying to tell you something. And if you don't speak house like myself, the guys at USS, they're fluent in house, so give them a call to check it out. It's 615-488-7855. They have over 25,000 satisfied customers in Middle Tennessee, and I'm confident you will be satisfied as well. So if you have water in your crawl space, if you have wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors, call USS today, 615-488-7855, or find more information online at ussTN.com.
Traffic problems persist. Let's go up to Robertson County. It is stop and go 24 eastbound between Maxey Road and Springfield Ashland City Highway. That's a 44-minute delay, and that is from an earlier crash. Now, in South Nashville, you've got a stalled vehicle blocking the left lane, 24 westbound at Murfreesboro Pike. We've got the latest on the Washington spending showdown, and an interest rate decision is coming today. These stories and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I got a text that said, hell, I'd vote for Saddam Hussein before Metamucil Joe or the hyena.
The hyena?
I know. Metamucil Joe. That's good. That's good. Thank you, 8523. Oh, geez Louise. All right, it is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, phone lines are open, 615-737-9986. I asked anybody that disagreed with me to call and have a conversation, and I didn't get any calls on it. It's disappointing. I did get one text. It said, Chris, your defense of Trump is laughable. So, okay.
Call in and tell us why.
Yeah, thanks. Jan, who's in her car, she has a question. Jan, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Jan? Hey, Jan, what's up? Jan. Did you get her name wrong again, Mac? Is it Jan? Because you said Sean.
Jan.
You said Sean when it was John. Are you sure?
San.
Fan. All right, Jan, call back. Call back if you can. You know, this is what we do. This is live radio. Sometimes Max gets people's names wrong. Oh, geez. All right. You know, there is a lot going on today. Merrick Garland has been covering his butt in the House Oversight Committee, and you know, also covering for the Biden regime. Matt Gaetz was absolutely grilling him, and Merrick Garland claims that he's unaware that millions of dollars moved through shell companies.
Do you know about the money that moved through Rob Walker's shell companies, yes or no?
As I have said repeatedly, I have left these matters to Mr. Weiss. I've not intruded. I've not interfered. I've not tried to find out what he knows.
It's like you're looking the other way on purpose because everybody knows this stuff's happening. And you know what? People don't pay bribes to not get something in return, right? The China initiative resulted in the convictions of a Harvard professor, of someone at Monsanto. So we were working against the Chinese. They paid the Bidens. And now you're sitting here telling me that North Korea is the big threat. I got to get to, do you know?
Matt Gaetz absolutely roasting Merrick Garland. He not aware of any bribes.
No one that I know of has.
And he also says that he is no one has spoken of to the White House about the Hunter Biden case. This is another thing that Merrick Garland is saying today.
No one that I know of has spoken to the White House about the Hunter Biden case.
I'm wondering this. Okay, I got it.
Oh, of course not. That's not something we discuss in the Biden White House. This audio coming out, Merrick Garland. I mean, if there's one thing that we can thank Mitch McConnell for, I'm not a Mitch McConnell fan, but thank goodness Merrick Garland didn't end up on the Supreme Court. And if there's one thing that we can thank Donald Trump for, thank goodness that we got 3 actual conservatives on the Supreme Court. The ripple effects of that will be felt for long after this election and beyond. And people will say, oh, Trump, you know, they were going after him because he was semi against a nationwide abortion ban. Trump got rid of Roe v. Wade. Do you want Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court? Is that what you would prefer? I mean, people will bash Trump, and that's fine. That's your right to do it. But I just feel like you're letting the media do the thinking for you, because the media is wholly controlled by the left. But, you know, agree to disagree. Dave in Lawrenceburg, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Dave?
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm third part cloudy.
What's your comment, Dave?
Yeah, I was calling, you know, some time ago they had made a couple comments about Trump, you know, racist type, and I wanted to call them, but I didn't. Well, I am now, because I think he's going to get to have a redo. But when I met him, I was part of the Atlanta Pals Boxing Club between tours of my first time in the service and my second time in the service. And I got to know Evander Holyfield well, and he was, in the early 90s, he was a cruiserweight. Well, he had a fight in Trump Plaza where they took the whole team up there, Trump gave everybody something to work with, go out and use some chips, but he kidnapped Evander's mother. Now that's not what it sounds like. He took her out, limousine her over New Jersey, New York. I mean, this man just loved Evander's mother. I mean, back when they were talking as races, I'm like, is this crazy? This is not the same man.
It is crazy, isn't it? Dave, thank you for the call. I appreciate the story. Taking Evander Holyfield's mother out, what a monster. What an absolute racist. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Here's Ken Weaver with the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we've got the full forecast in 2 minutes. With the government shutdown looming just 11 days away, House Republican leaders are rushing to get conservatives on board, a stopgap measure that would keep the government open until October 30th. One of the holdouts is Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles, who tells WTN's Chris Hanshow.
So I've advocated that we stay here this weekend and we stay here every day until we get it done. That's what I would expect of my congressman. That's what I expect of myself, and that's what I expect of my colleagues.
Ogles and other members want stricter spending limits and deregulation. The Federal Reserve adjourns its latest meeting today with a decision on interest rates.
Every time the Fed hikes interest rates, it makes borrowing more expensive, and the Fed's now done that 11 times since March of last year in an effort to target inflation. And it's helping, but the typical American family is still spending about $240 more every month on the same goods and services as they were a year ago, $740 more as they were 2 years ago.
There's a record amount of credit card debt held by Americans, too, $1 trillion. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. We know that diversification is an important part of the investing process, but how do you reduce risk of a portfolio through diversification? Well, you use correlations. Now think of bathing suit sales and suntan oil sales. They tend to move together, right? Think of bathing suit sales versus winter coat sales. More dissimilar movement, and that's the idea. But why is diversification so important? Well, think about it this way. Everybody would like to have this happen with their investments. They just go straight up. But what we know is this is really what tends to happen. Markets may go way up and then down, or down, then way up. Now let's say if we isolate parts of that curve right there, and the first curve right there, and the second curve right there. If you're putting money away for retirement, every time you put money in, if this is what's going on, you're buying more shares. Then just before you retire, the market goes up, you're really happy. If on the other hand, you keep paying a higher and higher price, and then the market goes down, you're really sad. And we can't choose what's going to happen with the market next. But what we can do is what we know through academic research, and there are Nobel Prizes awarded for this, is we can look for things that tend to move in dissimilar fashion. And what happens when we do that, we can reduce the volatility of the portfolio, hence bringing those curves in. Now that's the idea. Now, if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We could talk about the former president all day. We could, but I think it's important to talk about the current resident as well, and his son. From Breitbart, Hunter Biden's lawyer claims that his client did not share money with Joe Biden, contradicting Hunter's own words. Yeah, his lawyer Abby Lowell recently claimed that Hunter did not share money with President Joe Biden. But we all know from the laptop, that's not true. That's not true. But Abby Lowell told CNN, I can tell you that Hunter did not share his business with his dad. I can tell you he did not share money from his business with his dad. And as the evidence out there, his dad, like all good parents, tried to help Hunter with the help that Hunter needed. Oh, yep. Well, I mean, that's all fine and good, except for the fact that we've seen the text messages, right? Including one text message from Hunter, which said, I hope you all can do what I did and pay for everything for this entire family. For 30 years, it's really hard, but don't worry. Unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary. Oh, okay. Hunter Biden also lashed out at Joe Biden in a 2018 text message. In a text message to his romantic partner, who also happened to be his late brother's widow, calling her a selfishly silly, entitled blank, and claiming he financially supported the Biden family. I supported my GM family, including some of the costs you should have used your salary to pay for the last 24 years, Hunter said. The president's son also alleged in 2018 text message to his assistant that he shared a bank account with Joe Biden and paid the bills for years. The Wells Fargo account shut me out again, his assistant Katie Dodge texted Hunter Biden. Too many cooks in the kitchen, he replied, April 12th of 2018. Too many profile changes and such. Happened 10 days ago. What do you need? I'm going to bank in a few. Need to verify identity and purpose in person. She said, I need to pay AT&T. And then Hunter replied, my dad has been using most lines on this account, which I've, through the gracious offerings of Eric Shorwin, have paid for the past 11 years. I mean, so that the text messages are evidence that Joe Biden was in bed financially with Hunter. In Hunter's own words, he was paying the bills in the family. But Hunter's lawyer, no, they didn't share money. Okay. I'm itching for some subpoenas. Let's see what happens. You know, and Joe, poor Joe Biden. Poor old Joe. Joe, this is also from Breitbart. New report out. Joe Biden laments that he could be dead before Hunter Biden's legal woes are resolved. But I thought age wasn't a factor in this presidential election. I thought that young whippersnapper Joe Biden was doing good. You know, Karine Jean-Pierre says that the energy that Joe has is hard for her to keep up with. She can't keep up with the man. He's got so much energy. But apparently in private, President Joe Biden laments that he could be dead before Hunter's legal woes are resolved, fearing that legal problems could worsen in future months. Yeah, probably that's probably true. Probably true. I mean, how long does old Joe have left? He's 80 now. But a source told NBC News that Biden has lamented that he could be dead before Hunter's legal woes are resolved. I mean, that's not what he says in person. I mean, he told MSNBC in May that his son did nothing wrong and that he trusts him, that he has faith in him, and that it impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him. That's what he told MSNBC in May. And now he's allegedly just, I could be gone. I could be gone before Hunter's problems are cleared up. I mean, he's not wrong. The evidence that's there is huge. And the House Oversight Committee is intending to subpoena Hunter and Hunter's uncle, Joe's brother, old Uncle James. They're going to subpoena their personal and business bank records. Could be as early as this week. And you know, They'll still say there's no evidence. There's no evidence. Okay. Biden family suspicious activity reports of wire transfers, not evidence. Texts, emails, WhatsApp messages, not evidence. Photos of Joe with Hunter's business partners, definitely not evidence. Joe Biden's voicemail to Hunter. 5 individuals referencing Joe Biden as the big guy. 2 whistleblower testimonies. FBI FD 1023 forms. FBI informant alleging bribes. Video of Joe Biden bragging about firing the Ukrainian prosecutor. Hunter's statements, like I just told you about before, about giving half of his income to his dad. Former White House aides saying the FBI ignored Joe Biden's role in the Ukrainian business dealings. Not evidence. Millions flowing into the Biden family bank accounts. Not evidence. Hunter paying for Joe's expenses, the email aliases, none of that is evidence. It's just not. So take your tinfoil hat off. Stop being a conspiracy theorist. You know, it's no surprise when you look at all the stuff that's going on with Joe Biden that 33%, according to Rasmussen, 33% of Democrats would be willing to vote for RFK Jr. as a third-party candidate. 33%. That would be the end of the Biden regime. That would be the end of the Democrat Party as we know it, if 33% of Democrats might vote for RFK Jr. as a third-party candidate. I think people like RFK Jr. a lot. I happen to have a lot of liberal friends from my time in media, and I follow them on social media. I follow RFK Jr. on social media. And one of the things I always see when I scroll past an RFK Jr. post is certain liberals liking it. Liberals that you wouldn't expect to like it. So it doesn't shock me when 33% of Democrat voters might vote for RFK Jr. as a third-party candidate. They see the corruption. They see that the man's too old. They see that he can't speak. Everyone with eyes can see that the man can't speak. But according to Rasmussen, a quarter of Democratic voters favor Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in their party's primary, and many would vote for Kennedy if he ran as a third-party candidate in 2024. The latest Rasmussen report's national telephone and online survey finds that 57% of likely Democrat voters would vote for Joe Biden in the 2024 primaries, while 25% would vote for RFK Jr. Everybody else really isn't serious. But the survey went on to say that 33% of Democrats could see themselves voting for him as a third-party candidate. That's huge. That's absolutely
massive.
Huge. That's huge. And this is with no mainstream coverage of RFK Jr.
Seriously.
This is with no debates with RFK Jr., right? He gets no coverage. Nobody takes him serious. The only time you ever hear RFK Jr. is like, he's an anti-vaxxer.
Yep.
That's it. Anytime you hear about RFK, it's a smear campaign. Or it's, a crazy person tried to sneak in as part of his security detail to possibly murder the man. Which is crazy in and of itself because it was Joe Biden who turned down Secret Service detail for him. Weird how that works out. I say it a lot. I'm in Florida at Turning Point Actions ActCon. Trump is speaking. DeSantis was invited. He didn't show up. Personally, I thought it was because he didn't want to be booed in his home state of Florida. But a guy like Asa Hutchinson showed up. But when Charlie Kirk's having a conversation with Megyn Kelly, he asked about DeSantis. DeSantis is booed. He asked about RFK Jr. RFK Jr. is cheered in a room full of hardcore conservatives. And I think it goes back to people are craving something authentic. And that's on both sides of the aisle. Like the celebrity culture is dying. The political class is floundering. And all people want is something real. Something organic. DeSantis doesn't feel organic. Biden doesn't feel organic. Vivek felt organic for a little bit, but then you do some digging and, he's just all natural. You know what I mean? He's not really organic. They just slapped the packaging and the label on him to make it look like he's make it look like he's organic, but it's just natural flavoring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's infused with the same
stuff,
crap.
the same money. So people are craving something authentic and organic. I'm not surprised by this recent poll that says 33% of independent voters would be down for RFK Jr. or of Democrats would vote for him as a third-party candidate. That's not shocking.
I think they're clamoring for someone to look to.
And he stands against Big Pharma, which the majority of Americans, I feel like, are against. I haven't seen any recent numbers, but who is for Big Pharma these days? Ugh. Yuck. Vivek seems like he's for Big Pharma. He made a lot of money during the COVID pandemic working in the pharmaceutical industry. I see some texts. What are the odds for a Trump RFK Jr. ticket? Wouldn't that be something? I don't think it would realistically happen. I think it would be a slam dunk grand slam, take it to the bank if that happened, personally. I think that would be awesome. We were talking earlier about Joe Biden allegedly fears that he could be dead before Hunter Biden's legal woes are over. And I got a text from 1513 said, nah, Joe's got another 20 years. Brian texted me, he said, let's hope Biden's correct and that Hunter has a speedy trial then. Oh my gosh. But I think people are clamoring for something real, something authentic. And it's no shock that people look at RFK Jr. and think that he truly believes what he says and that he says what he thinks. Right? Like you can look at some Democrats and go, oh, they're just touting the policy line, right? They're standing in line with the Democrat Party. They're saying all the right things, right? But you look at RFK Jr. and he says what he thinks. He says what he truly believes. So even if you disagree with him, at least it's him you're disagreeing with and not his spokespeople. Personally.
Yeah, the person who actually knows how to tweet or get on a computer on his campaign team. Yeah.
What, are you trying to say that Joe Biden doesn't know how to get on a computer? Is that where you're...
No, what? Me?
You wouldn't say that.
No.
That's not something you would say.
Never.
It's working. Yeah, it's working, Mr. President. Just hang on, pal.
You got this.
Now, you see where it says tweet? Hit that. All right, 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy's going to check in with us next. Let us know what's happening and happening on the Murphy Show, which starts at noon. It's 11:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand Show coming to a close. Murphy coming in. This is the tag right here. This is I tag you in.
I'm it. Tag, you're it. I'm it.
I was thinking more.
Hey, I brought you something today. Did you see that?
I did. Brought me a salad.
Brought you a little salad. Hey, I brought salads for everybody.
What are you trying to tell us?
Salads for everybody in the break. But I'm trying to lose weight, so everybody's got to lose weight.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Salads for
That's
everybody.
nice of you.
It's very nice.
I really didn't bring the salads, but I'm going to take credit for them.
Yeah.
I'm going to take credit for the salads.
I will eat the salads. I don't care who takes the credit.
You know, like we were talking about, it's the little things.
Yep.
It's you feel like you're at a breaking point doing what we do, and then one day there's salad.
Yeah.
Other kind of snacks.
I didn't feel like I was at a breaking point. I just was hungry.
Maybe I'm projecting.
What do you got coming up on the show today? Anything fun?
We're going to talk a little local politics. We'll talk about a little situation going on in Franklin, Tennessee that I think the people of Franklin want to know about. I will re-up a story that I did not get to yesterday about Rolling Stone and the creator of Rolling Stone, which apparently his name is spelled Jan, but they pronounce it Jan.
Oh.
And Jan,
I already don't like that guy.
And I know I don't like him either. And
hello, Jan.
And he's being destroyed by his
Wait a
own.
minute.
I love
Wait a
liberal
minute.
on liberal violence.
Last name
is Wiener. Is
there
that
you
right?
go.
Jan?
Is it really?
Well, it you know, you could go Winner, but
You buried the lead.
I'm going Wiener.
You buried the lead.
Jan Wiener.
Oh my gosh.
Like we're in a Swedish prostitution den.
Weird.
Und Jan Wiener. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We will talk about Merrick Garland appearing before Capitol Hill today, getting grilled by Thomas Massey, amongst others.
That's been exciting.
Such good stuff.
He didn't know
Love
about.
that.
He didn't have any idea about shell companies.
Oh yeah, and was asked by Massey, right? Hey, you know, Ray Epps, how convenient you charge him with a misdemeanor yesterday, so you don't have to testify about him today.
Weird.
Isn't that nice and convenient? How many embedded FBI agents were there? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, you've had 2 years. You refused to answer the question 2 years ago. 2 years later, you come before this committee. We are charged with the duty of oversight for the American people. And you're telling me you don't know? And he said, I think you're perjuring yourself. I think you do know. You're just lying about it. I don't know.
No
What
idea.
a wiener.
He should have said several.
A few. There might be one here right now.
Is the FBI in the room with you right now? They could be. They could be.
They're in the room right now. Get out of the house.
All right. All right. I'm excited. I'm excited for your show.
I'm excited to for you to get your mouth around that salad.
I will. I will.
I might not make it to 3.
You're not. Matt Murphy and his breaking point starts at noon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Don't forget Mac Morey's new sports podcast. Find it on my Twitter at Chris.